Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in. Picture the final moments of a massive global sporting event. You've got the game-winning goal, the deafening roar of a packed stadium, just pure unadulterated joy, right? But today, we're unpacking a really stark juxtaposition. We are looking right past those cheering crowds to explore a dark, hidden criminal reality, one that international investigators and security teams have literally been bracing for years.
So to really wrap our heads around the magnitude of what we're dealing with, we have to look ahead to the year 2026. This isn't just going to be another tournament. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is slated to become the single biggest sporting event ever held in human history. And it's exactly this sheer, unprecedented scale that creates the very environment we need to understand today. I mean, just think about the logistics here. We are talking about a tournament spanning 3 entire nations. It's going to stretch across 16 massive host cities. We'll see an influx of millions of visitors traveling from all over the globe, all while billions of viewers are watching from home. It is a staggering volume of people, locations, and temporary infrastructure all coming together at the exact same time. And it's this specific combination that creates a totally unprecedented environment for the host countries.
Normally, what the world sees, what we all remember, are the goals, the celebrations, those unforgettable historic moments on the pitch. But investigators are preparing for something completely different, because there's a grim reality that law enforcement knows all too well. Wherever millions of people gather, well, criminals gather too. And we aren't just talking about pickpockets looking to steal a few wallets in a busy airport. We're talking about highly organized networks looking to exploit vulnerable people.
Section 1. The perfect hunting ground. How chaos creates opportunity. To really understand the threat, you kind of have to understand the opportunity. Criminal organizations are constantly on the hunt for places where they can just blend in. Places where unusual behavior goes completely unnoticed simply because strangers are everywhere. And a massive event like the World Cup provides this instantly. Imagine a host city essentially doubling in size overnight. Millions arrive simultaneously. Temporary jobs, from hospitality to logistics, pop up in an instant just to handle the demand of hundreds of thousands of hotel rooms being booked out. Transit systems get totally overwhelmed. In this sudden overnight economic boom, tracking exploitation becomes incredibly difficult. Criminals can literally hide their operations right behind the chaotic shield of the event itself.
Section 2. A hidden reality. Dismantling the Hollywood myth of trafficking. Look, when most people hear the phrase human trafficking, they immediately picture scenes from movies, right? Violent kidnappings, people being dragged into vans in the dark of night. But investigators point out that the actual reality is often far less dramatic, but honestly, far more disturbing. The real mechanics of this crime usually involve coercion, false promises, and debt bondage. It operates quietly. It is completely hidden behind the facade of legitimate, everyday employment.
So how does it happen? Well, the trap is sprung methodically. It almost always starts with a promise of a better job, a chance for someone to support their family back home. But then, everything flips. Passports suddenly disappear into the hands of an employer. Next thing you know, these massive, unfair debts magically appear out of thin air, tying the worker to the job until the debt is supposedly paid off. Eventually, freedom becomes conditional, and escape becomes nearly impossible. It's this incredibly insidious, quiet progression. And what this means in practice is absolutely chilling. Think about where these victims are often found. They're serving food in busy, crowded restaurants. They are cleaning the thousands of overflowing hotel rooms, or laboring on the vast new infrastructure built specifically for the games. Investigators stress that one of their absolute greatest challenges is that these victims rarely look trapped. They're working ordinary jobs, quite literally right in front of the cheering crowds. Section 3. Invisible in plain sight. The challenge of spotting the victims. I really want you to imagine walking through a crowded host city during the World Cup. You're passing thousands of tourists, families, workers, security officers. If just one person in that massive crowd was being exploited, would you know? Would anyone know? It is a deeply sobering thought, and it perfectly bridges the gap between the victim's quiet suffering and the monumental task facing investigators. Experts tell us that this crime specifically thrives on that exact invisibility. Victims rarely, if ever, identify themselves to the public or to law enforcement. And why is that? Because there's a deep, paralyzing fear of retaliation from their traffickers. On top of that, there's often a profound distrust of local authorities, especially if they are in a foreign country. And heartbreakingly, some don't even realize that they are legally considered victims.
The end result is thousands of ordinary faces and ordinary interactions, completely masking extraordinary suffering.
Section 4. Following the money. Using digital footprints to track the invisible. So, how do we actually fight a crime we can't see? Well, you flip the investigation on its head. Traffickers might operate in the shadows, but every single criminal enterprise needs one thing to survive: money. They have to get paid. And money, it always leaves a footprint. In fact, the very first sign of a massive trafficking network usually isn't a rescued victim at all. It's a single, seemingly mundane financial transaction.
Financial intelligence is basically the new frontline weapon here. Investigators are hunting for specific footprints, suspicious transactions happening at odd hours, unusual payment patterns all flowing into centralized accounts. They're looking for single bank accounts connected to dozens of different workers, or massive cash movements that make absolutely zero business sense. A single hotel booking, a wire transfer, a withdrawal. Standing alone, they look totally harmless, but when you map them together, they reveal the entire hidden architecture of a criminal operation.
Section 5. The race against time, making exploitation harder.
Now, authorities know they aren't going to eliminate every single threat, but they are mounting a massive counteroffensive to make exploitation significantly harder, and law enforcement cannot do this alone. A massive, coordinated defense is currently underway. Financial institutions are actively training their employees to spot those unusual transaction patterns we just talked about. Hotels are educating their frontline staff on exactly what a victim might look like. Transportation networks are learning the subtle warning signs of coercion, and law enforcement agencies are heavily coordinating across international borders. The goal here isn't just arresting traffickers after the fact, it's identifying the victims before they disappear deeper into the network.
You know, eventually the tournament will end. After the final whistle blows, the stadiums will empty out, and the world will remember the winners, the trophies, and the champions. History will record every single score, but we have to remember the unseen battles that are never televised. The quiet investigations happening in hotel rooms and back offices and deep within financial records. These are the real battles fought for the people the world often completely overlooks.
Because ultimately, the greatest challenge isn't just finding the traffickers, it's learning to see what everyone else misses. To leave you with this thought, the most dangerous crimes don't always happen in the dark. Sometimes they happen right in front of us. So, next time you look at a massive crowd, ask yourself what you might be missing. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes open and keep learning.